everyone, welcome to Garden Fork Radio, the show that's all about DIY living. You're here with Rick and Eric. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Eric. How are you, my friend?
I'm enjoying the low humidity.
You know, that front passed through you. I guess it came through us, and boy, did it make a difference.
What a difference a little bit of water in the air makes, huh?
Yeah, we were having just phenomenal heat indexes down here in Margaritaville North, and it's turned out to be the last couple of days have been just really nice, and I can't wait to get outside. So we're going to make this a little shorter than usual, and we got lots of things to do.
One thing I realized is I have a dehumidifier in our basement, and I always have the basement door open because it's like part of our house.
Right.
So I was trying to dehumidify the rest of the house with my basement dehumidifier.
Oh, and how'd that work out?
Didn't work. So I closed the basement door. So today we're going to talk about Garden Fork's new Patreon member-supported campaign, a little bit about honeybees, weight loss, which Rick and I are both working on, and our friend Mike is doing amazing things, and some viewer mail for you all. So welcome. Thanks for listening.
You bet. We need to have Garden Fork Mike back on sometime soon.
He's going to be on. Mike lost 50 pounds, and then he wrote an 8-page how-to on how he did it. And he put it up on his Google Doc as a public document. I'm going to ask him if we can put it on the site. And he's going to be on soon. It's kind of practical, no-nonsense way. And I already knew this, but the biggest thing is what you put in your mouth, not how many miles you pedal on your bike.
That's right. All the evidence now is beginning to point to it. And I'm sorry to hear this myself, but you can out-eat your exercise. Is essentially what it amounts to. And then a new report came out just yesterday that I found on, I think it was Lifehacker.
Yep.
That says that the 3,500 calories an hour that you thought you could burn actually needs to be closer to 7,000 calories an hour.
To lose a pound of weight.
And, or not an hour, but just 3,500 calories. You need to burn that to lose a pound. It needs to be 7,000 calories. And my God.
So Mike's practice of losing weight has been to stop eating foods, basically like breads and sugary drinks, and things like that. So he's going to be on. I actually have some questions for him about that. So it'll be interesting. But we'll link to the. It's Lifehacker is a very interesting. They're basically a news aggregator.
Right.
And what I do like is they link back to the sites that they cite, which a lot of places don't. They just copy over the interesting articles, and then they don't link back to the main site. So I think it was originally written in Runner's World magazine.
I think it was, yeah.
So we'll link back to that in our show notes here. But I've been kind of talking about this a little bit on the show here. I pulled the trigger on what I call a listener-supported podcast model, and it's using a site called Patreon. Patreon is kind of like Kickstarter and kind of like Indiegogo, but also similar to the model that NPR and PBS use, where they want you to become a monthly supporter. Because on iTunes, which is where I think 90% of the Garden Fork listeners listen, there's really no way to basically punt us a couple of bucks a month. You can buy songs on iTunes for 99 cents, whatever, but you can't pay for a podcast. You can't subscribe to a paid podcast on iTunes. So what Patreon sets up is a dollar amount that you pledge every month to Garden Fork. And in return, I promise to keep on making great content and having great people on like Rick. What I like about Patreon is it kind of serves as a third-party ombudsman. You know, if you get tired of Garden Fork, you don't have to email me and say, cancel my monthly thing. You can just log on to your Patreon account and hit delete, and it's done. But whether you can become a monthly supporter or not, I want you guys to listen. I put up a video about it. It's on patreon.com/gardenfork.
Right.
And I posted the video to our YouTube channel, and I knew that there would be some what I call blowback on it. YouTube does have an audience of really great people, but there's also some people there that maybe voice things before thinking them fully through, you know? And they were like, this should be free. And I'm like, it is free. I'm just asking for those that can afford it to punt us a couple bucks a month because, we need microphones, hard drives. I was just telling Rick offline, but I have a 4 terabyte drive that just died, and they're $200 a pop. Things like that. I'm trying to make this a going concern, and the amount of time I put into it is really quite large. I think Rick can attest to that because whenever we talk, I'm working. When I'm not doing my regular job, I'm doing this, and I love it. I really love it, and I would love to be able to eventually make a living from it. And my thoughts on that briefly are kind of a three-legged tripod approach to this. We have YouTube revenue, which is not nearly as much as everyone would think it is.
And falling.
Yes. Right now, you get about $2 per every 1,000 views on a video. And when a Garden Fork video is launched, we get about 2,000 views the first month. Okay? So do the math there. We have brand deals. Right now I'm working with Troy-Bilt to talk about their products. I've talked about other companies' products, and they're only products that I actually like. I get people asking me every week to talk about their products, and I say no almost all the time. But those brand deals, we get a couple of $100 to do that. And then the third leg is member support. So it's like PBS, your public TV station. They get some grants, like the MacArthur Foundation or the, whenever I watch nature, I see all the foundations that give them money. They get a little bit of federal funding. And then the third leg of theirs is the member support. And so I just thought we'd apply that same thing to Garden Fork and see how it works. And sure. One of the thank yous I'm offering at the different member levels is a guest spot on Garden Fork Radio. And we have our first patron on right now, and that's Rick Kennerly.
Well, and did I pay for this? I must have.
I love how, Rick, you do all this work for Garden Fork, and then you keep giving me money.
Oh, I believe in what you're doing, and I like you a lot, and Lynn, and I love the dogs. Mostly, I'm doing this to keep the dogs in kibble. I mean, that's it.
There are about 25 people that have become patrons just from, I think, I also sent it out in an email to our email list. I'm interesting to see the stats on that. But there were a couple people that said, Eric, one lady was like, look, I'm disabled. I'm on a limited income, and I just really love your show. And I'm like, don't give me your money. Just watch the show. That's fine. But there are people who do have a little bit of spare income, and that would be great. If you're tight for money, don't give it to me, okay? Just send me an email, send me a picture of your dogs or cats, whatever. That'd be great.
Yeah, I really liked your approach, though. Buy Garden Fork a cup of coffee once a month. That's really all we're asking.
Yeah, the base I'm asking for is $3 a month. You could do $1 a month if you want. And there are some transactions fees. Patreon gets a little cut. I think they get 3%. Then there's the credit card transaction fee, but that's all done securely through Patreon. I don't have to do any of that. So, I think it'll work really well. And yeah, $3 a month. I mean, that's a cup of coffee or the subscription to a really good magazine. And I think that considering the videos we put out, the podcast, and also the stuff I put on the Garden Fork site, that's about $36 a year. I think that's pretty good. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Let me turn the phone off. Sorry. So there you go. There'll be a link in the show notes here. It's playing on your smartphone. If you just go to patreon.com/gardenfork. The Patreon site is not very mobile friendly. It might be better if you do it from your desktop or your laptop. Sorry about that. But the video explaining this is on our iTunes feed and also on our YouTube channel. So there you go. If you consider that would be cool.
And probably the last time we'll talk much about it.
Oh, no, I'm going to talk about it every time.
Oh, well, I mean, but in depth.
Right.
Yeah.
I will remind people, much like PBS does, and I think their biggest source of income is member support at this point. And so there you go. It's been, the feedback has been generally 98% great. So there were a couple of wackos, and I just deleted the comments.
Well, and the truth is, what you're really trying to balance here is there are a lot of people that make a lot of money off of free content. And we're trying to swing that back around so that the content providers are actually compensated for the material they're turning out.
Yeah, there's a very, if you have 25 minutes, I'll link to it. Jack Conte, who is a musician, who is a co-founder of Patreon, talked about the founding of the site because he and his girlfriend make these great, intricate music videos on YouTube, and they were getting millions of views and getting almost no money from the ad revenue, considering all the people that deduct the money before the creator gets their part of the pie. And he started Patreon basically with a phone call to his friend who was a software developer, a startup expert, basically. And they created this site for content creators to be, for people to become patrons directly of content creators. So it's pretty cool. I'll link to that video. It's pretty neat. It's about 25 minutes long, but it's kind of neat.
Okay. Well, let's move on. What else we got on the list today?
We did a bee inspection of our new hive, and it went really well.
Yeah, no smoke at all. Well done, sir.
I try, unless I'm going to pop open a lot of the hive, I don't smoke them.
Right. You know, one of the things I really liked about that video, though, is something I tried to teach all my new beekeepers when I have them, is the visceral aspect, the sensory aspect of beekeeping. And you really touched on all those, you know, what a healthy hive looks like, what a healthy hive smells like, what a healthy hive sounds like. And those are really things you have to learn by experience. You can't quite get them from a book. But, you know, I can stand next to a hive and watch the traffic in and out and just kind of give it a whiff and know if things are pretty much okay inside or not. And those are wonderful talents to have. And I'm really glad you demonstrated that for some people.
Cool. Yeah, I think that if you're going to start keeping bees, you should have 2 hives, not 1. Because it allows you to compare one to the other.
Right.
You're like, wow, this one is like going gangbusters and the other one doesn't look quite right. So that if you only had 1 hive, you wouldn't know that in the middle of summer, they're supposed to be going crazy. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
So that allows you to go, oh, wow, this one's just... And the nuke we were working on is a little weak, so that's why I've been... in the video, you see that I put on pollen patties, and normally in the middle of the summer, you don't put those on.
Right.
And you normally don't feed them sugar syrup in the middle of summer, but I'm just going to feed these guys, as Rick would call them, they're welfare bees.
Yeah.
They're bringing in pollen, they're bringing in honey, but they're just a little underweight, I think. So, you know, the winters in New England are pretty hard. So I just want them to do well. And it was just kind of a perfect day. The sun was that kind of beautiful, warm sunlight, and there wasn't any wind, so the audio was really good. And the camera operator was very whimsical. So,
yeah, it was a great video. I watched it just to and listened to it just to enjoy the experience of being inside a hive because, you know, like I said, mine died. And I really thought I'd get a swarm or 2 this year because I do not believe in buying packaged bees. It's just a personal thing. And I really thought we'd get swarm. We had a lot of swarms the very first of the season. I think I made 5 or 6 swarm calls, and I gave them away to new beekeepers in our guild because I wanted them to have the experience because we graduated like maybe 150 beekeepers from our beginning beekeeping course in the winter. And I wanted them to have the experience of getting bees, not feeling like they had to buy bees up from Georgia, Florida, someplace. And but then they just dried up in an instant, and there were no bees left for me. And so I'm out of bees this year. So you're my surrogate beekeeper.
Well, we actually have a beehive on a roof in Brooklyn this year. It's in what's called Greenwood. It's right next to the Greenwood Cemetery.
Mm-hmm.
And my friend and I went up on his roof, and we just put a bee escape between the honey super and the rest of the hive to get the worker bees out of the honey super. And that super is really heavy. So
oh, that's great.
I'm pretty sure it's full of honey. We're gonna pull the super off in a couple days, and then we will extract that honey. And we'll have some country honey and some city honey, and we'll do some taste tests.
Oh, wonderful. I look forward to that.
I think that means Rick wants me to send him some. So. By the way, if you're interested in more kind of garden forky stuff, there is a fella who has a YouTube channel and a website It's called Clean Slate Farm. Clean Slate Farm. He is a chef. That's his occupation. But he also has, I would call it a mini farm. And he has some cooking videos and some beekeeping videos. He's on YouTube, and also he has a website. And he's on Instagram as well. So just go to YouTube and search for Clean Slate Farm. I'll link to that in the show notes. But he's a good guy. We've been emailing. And he's like us. He's trying to just doing stuff, and he wants to share it. So there you go. If anyone else has YouTube channels, let me know, and I'll share them,
Okay. Yeah, everybody scratches each other's back in this business.
Yeah, karma is boomerang.
Yeah, that's it. Well, let me see. Do we have a couple of letters or notes we need to read?
We have some viewer mail.
That's it. Ding dong.
radio@gardenfork.tv is our email address. Our first one here is from Randy. A couple of observations on the last couple of podcasts. First, Eric talked about yellow jackets and how they steal honey from hives. I'm not sure this is accurate. These beasts are carnivores and are really after the larva and the pupa for the protein. Or so I've been told by beekeepers here in Western Washington, where these evil critters make outdoor dining and grilling so difficult on late summer nights, I think. That's also why yellow jacket bites, yes, they bite as well as sting, can get infected. They are constantly feeding on carrion and carry many bacteria. Interesting. Second, the grilling on lump charcoal that I've been talking about. Alton Brown did a show several years ago where he grilled carne asada this way. He advocates hitting the coals with a quick blast of a hairdryer before slapping the meat down. I do this and it works really well. And that's from Randy, and he's in Olympia, Washington. So yeah, I sometimes mangle things about, I'm a little dyslexic with words sometimes. So yeah, the yellow jackets are after the protein, not necessarily the honey, but yellow jackets do like sugar sources as well. So what do you think, Rick?
Well, it's, I wondered about that when we were talking about it, but when you're live on the radio and you're saying things, sometimes it just, you have that brain freeze and you don't always think logically, but yeah, they're after the protein, but they also do, touch on the honey. They won't pass it up, but they're not going to gather it, and they don't have a honey stomach the way bees do. But they will touch it. But he's right. They are after the larva, the protein. Much
like bears. Bears are not after your honey. They're after the protein in your hive.
Exactly.
Which is why they tried to get in my garage a while ago.
Really?
So.
Okay.
Grilling on lump charcoal. I've been doing it. I've done it 3 times now, and we're going to make a video about it. The last time I did it, I blew off the coals, just kind of went, with my mouth, and I didn't really notice a big difference, but I'll try it again. I'll do the blow dryer thing and see what happens there. That's Alton Brown always seems to be about 6 steps ahead of Eric. So
yeah, but now I'm unclear about this. Is it blowing the coals to get the ash off?
Yep.
Or is it blowing them to really get them good and hot for a really hot sear?
Well, we're using chunk charcoal, and it's already freaking hot. I don't know if you see me on Instagram, but I posted a picture of, I had 2 chimney starters with chunk charcoal in them, and one of them, I burned the wooden handle.
I saw that.
And the other one was so hot, it was red hot, it looked like the metal was going to melt. Yeah, I have to run. I have to go move the car. It's New York City. It's alternate side parking. But thanks for listening. I always appreciate that. radio@gardenfork.tv. I've been trolling through, maybe trolling is the right word. I've been going through iTunes looking for new podcasts, and I'd be interested to hear from you guys. Yet again, I always ask. But if you have some podcasts to suggest, let me know. radio@gardenfork.tv. Thank you, Rick. Thank you for being a patron, and this is now your guest spot on the show.
All right. But, other people can earn a guest spot as well.
Yeah.
So we'll be glad to relinquish the microphone, make you a radio star.
Yeah. All right, everyone. Make it a great day. We'll see you later.
Talk to you later, my friend. Bye-bye.
Right. Garden Fork's theme music is used under license from uniquetracks.com.